Thank you for staying with us. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now, Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, has sacked Sergeant Chidi Awuse as the chairman of the Rivers State Traditional Rulers Council. The governor announced the paramount ruler of Apara Kingdom, Chike Worlu Wodo, as the new chairman of Rivers State Council of Traditional Rulers, accusing Awuse of inactivity and absence of effective leadership of the council under him. Recall that Mr. Awuse was appointed by the former governor, Nyesom Wike. In a related development, the local government chairmen in Rivers State insisted that their decision to remain in office after the expiration of their 3-year tenure is backed by law. As a group, they also condemned the governor's appointment of caretaker committees while reacting to the recent developments in Port Harcourt State. We have details in this report.
These embattled council chairmen are not backing down despite pressure on them to vacate office. They say this fight is not about desperation for power, but respect for the rule of law. According to them, everyone should wait for the court to have the final say on the amended law by the Martin Amehule-led House of Assembly, which extended their tenure.
21 local governments.
They described the appointment of caretaker committees to run the local government areas as an act of illegality.
The governor of Rivers State went ahead to appoint caretaker committee members of the 23 local governments, in spite of the fact that the appeal court has stated clearly that all parties should maintain status quo on all the suits before the appeal.
Members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by the Right Honorable Martin Chike Worlu, rose to the occasion and amended the law in order for there not to be a vacuum, because the governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara, was not prepared to hand over to democratically elected personnel. We are not people who are crazy about remaining in office. However, duty calls. This is a doctrine of necessity that has been invoked.
They also raised alarm over alleged plans by labor unions to stage a politically sponsored protest against the police.
Civil servants have made nominations into the illegal caretaker committee that were screened by Oko Jumbo and 2 others. So they cannot say they are calling for the police to vacate the premises of the various local governments because they want to go to work. These are people now who are dangerously aligned in the seeming disputes.
Nolge has collaborated with NLC and TUC to carry out a protest tomorrow, being the 24th day of June, against the police report that the IG has ordered to stay in the councils to maintain law and order.
Despite the opposition to their appointment, the caretaker leadership says all committees of the local government councils have been dissolved. But this group wants the public to disregard that announcement.
Joining us in the studio is a public affairs analyst, Oladende Aria, to talk about this. Oladende, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, we have seen developments coming out of Rivers State.
You call them developments?
What should we call them?
Disaster, crisis.
How do you mean?
Yeah, untoward events. You see, because at the end of the day, the people of Rivers State, the voters, the masses, are the ones who are going to carry the can. With all of these acrimonies, they are not getting good governance. The governor will be pretending to be doing things.
Pretending?
Yeah,
that's a very strong
I am
word.
using that word on purpose.
Why?
But it would have been different if there is harmony between the state government and those in the local government. And of course, with the traditional rulers as well.
So what
but
he's
everybody
doing now
is
born out of pretense that he's trying to address the issues.
I'm not going to blame him for trying to secure his position, because constitutionally he's been elected
as the governor,
and he should be given every second.
And he's taking steps to ensure that the state is stable according to his own wisdom.
We are saying the same thing, but when you do measurements, it's not the same thing.
Okay.
It will just be partial, not absolute growth and development that the people voted for. That's why I use the word on purpose.
But
you understand?
If non-state actors decide to make the state ungovernable for him, because he mentioned that it was just about 4 months ago that he was able to gain full control of the state, and that's why you are seeing this development or crisis like you mentioned.
Nigerians should not pretend not to know the origin of all of these things. And like I said it before, that the leaders of thought, those who became either through politics, religion, or culture, or tradition, they should have nipped this thing in the bud.
Who are these leaders of thought that you're talking about?
I will just give you 2 names. I won't let you go too far. Peter Odili, Dr. Peter Odili was a governor in Rivers State.
Okay.
He made it possible for Rotimi Amechi to be governor. Amechi aided Wike, right? Made him chief of staff. Through him, became minister and came back to become governor. Agreed that they all have issues between themselves.
So how will they speak to the issues?
But you see, they should have put personal protest, ego aside in the interest of Rivers State, and then sit together. And even when people go to war, they still come back to Jojo. So I would have expected wisdom, okay, and common sense to have been allowed to play, and then everybody should calm down, and then they should have been able to manage this thing before it got to where it is. Let me tell you, there are over 50 cases in different courts over this Rivers crisis. The prominent ones are about 2 or 3 that everybody is talking about, which means we have a long way to go to resolve the crisis. And my concern basically is the fact that the people are not being served. That's why I said the governor is pretending to. I didn't mean there is no acrimony, no crisis. It will have done more. Because I don't pray to be a Fubara at this point, because I won't be able to sleep. I don't like crisis. I don't like having issues with people. No. So if you take it at that point, you will know that it is not yet a good day, for Rivers State and, of course, Rivers people. Now, I still don't understand why Odili and Amechi cannot bury whatever hatchet there is between them and say, look, we were governors in this state. Let this thing not continue. And then they call Wike, they call Fubara and speak to them. Whatever they have to resolve, they can resolve it. And then all these court cases can be withdrawn. And then there will be peace. It is possible. Somebody was saying that you cannot solve constitutional matters with a political solution.
Yes.
But we have seen it done several times. That cases will be withdrawn and then there will be peace and tranquility. Otherwise, nobody knows where all of this thing will end, especially with all these judgments flying here and there. It's not leading anybody anywhere.
And what will be the role of these leaders of thoughts, like you mentioned? Let's not forget that the president has also, tried to settle this disagreement or crisis among these people. Talk to us about that.
The president is an outsider in Rivers State, whether you like it or not. Were it to be happening in Lagos State and it comes in, you know how it will have flowed. Let's not pretend about that. He meant well. Okay? But the real deal is, I had thought Mr. President would have reined in Wike and tell him, man, you got something doing in Abuja. So face your business. Leave this young man alone. If there are issues between both of you, let it not override the growth, the wellness, and the peace of the state. Okay? Fubara had to come out to say that all the things they agreed, that they were not in his favor. But he had to agree because in deference to Mr. President. But at the end of the day, the other side, they were not playing it easy with him. And then you say, no, you should understand these things now. If I'm elected governor, I should be allowed to govern. And it will get to a point where I want to pull and show you that, okay, I'm the governor.
And he's already doing that.
He's already,
he came to say that, you see, it just took him for 4 months for him to start, being the governor of the state. And see, we have already started seeing his move.
Meanwhile, all those while, none of us knew he was under pressure or he was in a kind of cage. Okay? He was restrained. That he couldn't be governor in essence and in reality. When I look at the issue he had with the Sergeant Awuse, I was laughing. Awuse was a politician of the PDP stock. It was Wike that enabled him to mount the throne and, of course, become the state chairman of traditional council. Now, they were going to do an annual calendar, and the governor told Awuse that he should put his photograph and the deputy governor's photograph on the calendar, and the man refused, pledging his loyalty to Wike, which, of course, as governor of Rivers, I may not bother myself, because what is my photo on ordinary calendar or whatever? I won't get that petty. But he chose to show the man and say, hey, look, I'm the governor. Okay? And he said he had to go and accuse him of not functioning and all of that.
Yes.
Where were those allegations and accusations before the photo thing started? These are distractions. Okay? And nobody needs it. If you are distracted, seated here, I'm sure you know you will not deliver.
Right.
And that's the problem. And that's why I'm saying it has to be resolved. And not in court. You know how court cases go. The next 4 years, they will be there. And he will have run through his first term.
But as it is, it's seeming like they are choosing to go the way of the courts.
But at the end of the day, what will they achieve? Nobody ever thought that a court of law will say that those people who said they have defected to APC, because they are not having their names in register of members of APC, they've not deflected. That gave them a chance to go back to the House of Assembly, despite the fact that there were video and other evidences to show that they said they had left, including an affidavit. But all those things were, so nobody expected that to happen. And that's how we just be going from pillar to post. And time is of essence.
Absolutely.
One of my own guiding principles is every second counts. I don't waste my time, and I don't allow people to waste my time as well. But here we have a state where quality time, man hours, manpower, resources are being wasted. And it shouldn't be like that. Others are not waiting for them. Don't forget that.
Absolutely.
Life is already difficult as it is. And we have a lot of crises, economic, security, and all of that. Instead of them to sit with the governor and plan and, see how they will wait through and get better and enjoy life. Everybody is fighting everybody. The chairman who has to go, you think they want to go, you are taking away their meal tickets. So they got to fight back.
Right.
But their term has actually ended according to the Constitution. That is their tenure in the Constitution. But wait, let's talk about the fact that from what you have said, the replacement of the chairman by the caretaker committees and also the sacking of the local council chair. Is the governor using the people to mark political scores as against what he said, that whatever decision he was making was for the progress of the state?
Let me tell you, if you are saying that the governor lacks either constitutional authority or power, or political authority or power to remove local government chairman, we've witnessed presidents in this country removing state governors and declaring an emergency. Where did they get their powers from? Yes, I mean, just to say in the interest of the people, it's enough reason to take any action that they deem fit. In any case, their terms have come to an end. They should go. Find there's provision for extension, but that has not been activated. Okay, and it's not within their purview. You cannot extend your terms of employment or terms. It's not possible.
Right.
Nobody will. That is illegality, and it shouldn't even be considered at all. Talk less of giving room to happen. All this fight they are fighting, everybody is fighting for me, myself, and I.
Not for the interest of
No, it's not about the Rivers people or the Rivers as a state or as a garden. It's not about the people. It's about themselves. When people say those who are loyal to Wike, loyal to Fubara, is democracy about loyal to individuals? No.
It's supposed to be about...
The last time I listened to Colin Powell in the US, he said, as the chief of general staff, his loyalty is to the constitution of the country, not to any president. But here, what do we have? Personality cults, dictating, and then determining who gets what.
So
that has to stop.
If I hear you correctly, when we saw when the state governor after he made the statewide broadcast, where he said that, insisting on the end of the tenure of the local government chairman, we saw the following day that people trooped out. Young persons trooped out en masse to ensure that this was enforced. Are you saying that that was not them showing loyalty to the governor, that, they loved him and they loved what he's doing for them?
Fantastic. Let me tell you, if I choose to protest here tomorrow, all it will cost me is a few thousands of naira. I will raise enough crowd on the street of Lagos and we'll be at your gate protesting. I mean, you know this thing now. Just at campaign ground, you talk about rented crowds. People can be rented to deliver anything, to do anything whatsoever. Especially now that people don't have money, and they are looking for every opportunity to make cheap money and easy money. They will follow, they will come out. The question you want to ask yourself is, has the government erred in any way? No. So that means so.
So the word you use when you are talking about pretense then has no room to play. If you know he has not erred in any way.
He has not erred in any way.
So where is the pretense?
So when I said it was pretending to be busy, like removing Awuse, for instance, is not supposed to be a big deal. I mean, it's not anything.
The reason behind his removal.
But it's petty.
Right.
I stand by that. And then the council chairman who has to go, they should have peacefully left, but there was a power behind them, telling them don't agree, fighting.
Were you there when the power was speaking?
I said there was, let me just say, there must have been a power. They were engineered. Let's not deny knowing these things. If you don't know, if you are not there, but you can see the result.
It has to be backed by facts.
Okay, let's even say they are fighting for their merit ticket. How about that? Especially when they know that they had a limited number of years to spend as chairman. Don't forget that they were not elected. They were also appointed. So I think the best thing for government to do is to start planning local government election.
Which is already
as quickly as possible. So that even the president said that has just been sworn in, they will know that it's not yet to hulu for them.
Absolutely. The governor told them.
Oh, well, of course, yes. And not only that, if any of them wants to contest, he knows he has to resign. So they should have to get in straight. But I still insist that leaders of thought in the Rivers State should speak out. And of course, we can expand it to the South-South. That's where I can say Baba Clark should be dragged in as well. There are a lot of people,
Has he not been speaking?
He has been been playing the devil's advocate.
From what you deduce from all these statements, that's what you think is...
I expected a better posture from him. I expected the handling...
I'll come back to that.
To be around that level.
Okay, so I want to take you up on what you said, that the governor has not heard. You know that part of the crisis on ground was the fact that the governor did not conduct an election, which brought about the amendment of the law by the Amawili-led faction.
Right.
And suddenly, they're having a Rivers State Electoral Commission stakeholders forum to now conduct an election. Don't you think some of these issues would have been avoided if the governor had done the right thing at the right
beginning?
Time?
The man who just told you that he became governor effectively 4 months ago, where was the presence of mind for him to have known that, let's organize election for local government?
We just needed...
He was under pressure. And don't forget that the law that they said they amended has not been signed by the governor. So if it's not signed by him, I don't know if there is a way they can go about it, which they have not done, to now say there's a technical word I wanted to use now. But permit me, I'm not a lawyer anyway. So as it is, people should just have to calm down. The heat should be brought low. Nobody benefits from me. I know, and I keep saying it, it's all about me, myself, and I. But there must be a limit to trying to aggrandize yourself or trying to make yourself relevant in situations. For everybody, for every race there is a start, there must also be an end. They've had their day. Let them go and sit down. Perhaps they can come out to contest again. And if they win, they still take office. That should be made possible. They are not exempted from contesting. They have not been disqualified. So
Right. Let me take you back to the matter of the posture or position of elder statesman Edwin Clark. He has spoken. He has written letters. He has been talking about this, even calling the president's attention to this matter. And you're saying that you do not like his posture.
In his shoes, the first thing I would do is to gather other elders. We meet, take a specific position, come to an agreement. Then we seek the president's attention, audience. We go and let him know that our state is on fire, that things are not happening the way they should, that he should please help us, not minding that he had intervened before. Whatever they agree with the president, they now bring it back, and then people like Odili, Amiti and Co. should be part of that group, and then call Wike and Fubara together and say, look, we are here now. Maybe somebody will say that if you and your wife has issues, that you should get into the room and lock the door and refuse to open until you achieve peace. And insist that, look, before we leave this place, we must achieve peace. What are your grouses? What are your complaints? And you. Then everybody will talk, and then they find the middle of the road position, whereby Wike will go away happy, and the other man too will go away happy. Don't forget that for all Wike cares, Fubara and virtually the senators, rep, and that's what, there is investments. And when you invest, you must make profit. And that is the cocoa of the matter now. He came out to say that he sponsored them.
Those are very strong words.
Yeah, he said he sponsored, like if any of them wants to deny, let them come out and talk. He said it how many months ago? Nobody has come to say no or to have countered him.
And they were not sponsored.
Yeah, he was specific. He was specific. So I'm not saying what you say, what you don't know. You know these things. But the reality is that he took governmentalism too far. And that is it.
Now, quickly, because our time is almost up as it is.
So
I
can pay for your time.
Matter of declaration of a state of emergency and the police insisting on, this local government secretariat being still shut. What's your position on these two issues quickly?
In the interest of public peace,
right,
something has to be done. The police cannot, the IG cannot fold his arms and allow some people that have lost their lives. Don't forget that. Some people have lost their properties, in the melee. So even if at that, after ensuring that the council offices are not open, if they still cannot enjoy enough measure of peace in the state, nothing stops the president from bringing in state of emergency. We cannot just be there and allow madness to overrun the entire community.
All right.
Future Nigerians will blame all of us. What were you doing? Where were you when these things were happening?
Right.
And they will blame, you have intervened politically, it didn't work. Why didn't you, weigh in and use your authority and power constitutionally granted by they are giving you. So then at that point, everybody will go and sit down. I assure you, if that should happen, you will see Wike and Fubara hugging.
All right. We can't wait for that day to happen as it is. Public Affairs Analyst Olade Ndiario, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Now, coming up on TVC Breakfast, as political parties and their candidates gear up for the gubernatorial election in Edo and Ondo State, INEC urges fair access to public facilities. Join us after the break for more. Thank you for staying with us. The Independent National Electoral Commission, that's INEC, has issued a strong directive ensuring equal access to public facilities for political parties and candidates in the upcoming governorship election in Edo and Ondo states. It could be recalled that over the years, a recurring issue in Nigeria's electioneering has been the misuse of power of incumbency, to block opposition parties and candidates from utilizing public facilities for rallies and other campaign events, which often leads to violent clashes among supporters and disrupt public peace. In a statement signed by the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, INEC, Sam Olumekun, warned all the political parties and their candidates against the violation of Section 95, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act 2022, which strictly prohibits the use of state resources to favor or disadvantage any party or candidate. Well, joining us in the studio is security expert Darlington Umoru to discuss this. Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. Anyway, we saw development. I'm certain that INEC is speaking with regards to development that came out of Rivers State, not Edo State, I meant to say, where one of the governorship candidates claimed that his posters were removed from where they were posted and all of the billboards and stuff. And then we saw another video talking about we will not allow certain things happen, and all of that. Talk to us from your perspective, how it is that we have not been able to address this issue over the years. Like INEC stated, it keeps recurring when it comes to times like this.
How can you be able to address it when politics in Nigeria is about the winner takes all? And so the power of incumbency in most times is usually brought to suppress the opposition, and they use everything within their mind. You're talking about state resources. You're talking about facilities. Up until politics changes its face, that face of one man who wins, taking it all, and then that interest to do everything within your might to ensuring that the other man loses the election, you cannot get it right. What have we been able to do to address that situation?
We have laws.
You have laws, but are they working? Is it enough to have laws or to execute them? You talked about the reoccurrence, which meant that this has become an antecedent that has been there over time. And that will still come again in other elections. You find even during the presidential elections where presidential candidates' posters were removed in some states. How have we been able, who has been taken to court?
Yeah.
Have you heard anybody taking any other person to court for reasons that, well, you contravened section blah, 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 like you read now? Forgive me, I'm not a lawyer. Section 95,
subsection 2.
Forgive me, I'm not a lawyer.
Not a problem,
my sister, I'm not a lawyer. But who has gone to court? If INEC says this has been reoccurring, and they are issuing this statement at this time that there should be a level playing ground, how can you have a level playing ground? Politics in Nigeria is about money. And you talked about states not using their resources. When they say resources, perhaps the allocation coming from the center. As against, even with the rules that you don't spend beyond this and all of that, how do you monitor that? Who and who has been taken to court to say because you contravened what the Constitution said about this, and so, well, for these reasons, let's is it nullify your election now, or whatever you want to say. Until these issues, you see, you don't cut a tree from branches from the top and expect to have a different result. You must uproot it. You must uproot it. So this same situation happens virtually every time you have elections cutting across all spheres.
Who should do the operating now?
Well, who are the people talking now?
INEC.
Aha. If INEC had the regulators and they think it is within their power to make such statements, then they should also address the issues properly. These electoral laws are supposed to be executed by who? The courts have a role to play, but who must take them to the courts for prosecution? You see, sometimes when I see some of these statements, I begin to wonder, this thing has been there over time. Nothing has been done beyond talking. So amount, you don't need so more than so amount to execute your elections in certain elections and all of that.
INEC will tell you they do not have the powers to do so.
And so who is talking now? If you as the umpire, look, the areas where they do not have the power to do that is the area of perhaps disqualification when it comes to elections. But what about the guidelines? Who issued them? Who is issuing the guidelines for elections in Nigeria? Is it Darlington or Veronica? Maybe Veronica, I guess.
And in addition to your point, some have also, mentioned the fact that for every election cycle, INEC comes out to roll out guidelines.
Guidelines.
Just let everyone know, okay, you should abide by this. But
your left or your right.
What will be the place of, monitoring and ensuring compliance and also discipline of those persons that do not comply with these guidelines?
By whom? The monitoring now, who should do that? That's where the question is. You see, when it does not favor them, they tell you that it is not within their powers to do AZ.
When it does not favor them, how do you mean?
When it becomes controversial, you issue guidelines. You come out to tell us that it is not within your prerogative to take those people to court. When you have a legal department, who issues the guidelines and what are the guidelines you issued for? You meant you are issuing guidelines and then you are leaving it for another person to come and execute for you. Our electoral laws should specify some of these things. The Constitution is there, has stated its own. We also have electoral laws.
Aren't those the gaps that perhaps we need to begin to look at if we talk about improving our election process?
Precisely. That's why I said, whether it's Veronica that should execute those laws. You see now, we have to get it right. We are just beating about the bushes. We are. We know what it is. How do we get it right? That's the question. Let us know whose responsibility it is to carry out A, whose responsibility it is to carry out B. You are issuing guidelines. You cannot monitor them and then do something else if they are going the other way. You see, sometimes these things are created, these lacunas are created for the politicians to further begin to heat up the polity and then beat themselves. Look, the power of incumbency, you cannot take it away at any point in time.
Except the laws are addressed.
Enforced. You cannot. For instance, Party A is in charge of a state, and then an election is coming between Party A and Party B. Party A wants to come back, whether with the sitting governor or with another candidate. Okay? And then another person is wielding influence and is using the facilities. We have seen situations where stadium, or the opposition party is denied the use of stadium to launch their campaign because a particular party is in government. Now we're talking about billboards where you pay. Some are either made to pay more. They are meant to pay more to discourage them from coming to make use of those billboards. That is when you are even allowed to pay more. And some other times they will say for strategic reasons they must not occupy these places. The one that happened in Edo State was at Ugbo. The gateway into Edo State. Perhaps one of the gateways because you could use bypass now. But if you are entering Benin, that point is strategic. It meant that whoever is coming into Benin, the capital of Edo State, must see it. And then there were deniers upon deniers. The sitting government says they were not the ones, or they didn't send anybody to remove it and all of that.
All right, talking about denials, what would be the place of, these parties educating their followers during elections? Because now you mentioned that the state government came out to say they are not the one, but they have persons behind them that are carrying out duties, maybe not on their behalf. But what will be the place of, educating their supporters that, elections can be conducted peacefully?
Openly or behind the doors?
Openly and behind the doors. That's
both.
Going to work.
Whichever way.
My dear, there's only one language the politicians understand, and that language is how to win elections. Whatever they will be telling their followers is about whatever anybody would do to ensuring your contributions to ensuring that they win or they won the election. That's it. Would you be going to educate your followers to say, please don't go do this behind the doors or in front of the door?
And that's a bad attitude towards
it.
It
is.
Those who are
because
have this attitude.
Because the winner must take it all. Until you de-emphasize that. That is politics for you. You see, there's no point coming to sit here and begin to pretend about it. That is the face of politics, the way it is in Nigeria at the moment. I don't know about tomorrow. But for now, the only language any political party understands is what do we do to win this election?
No.
You have seen violence. You have seen ballot box being snatched. You have seen people being fed. You have seen money exchanging hands. Voters have received money at polling booth areas, not arrested. So this only language, the basic campaign within members, what do we do? You must deliver your constituency. You must deliver yours. I must deliver mine. As long as we belong to the same party. That's why there's always reconciliation after primary.
Well, let's talk about this matter of de-emphasizing the matter of winner takes all. How we can work on that, because it's our democracy we're talking about, and this year we celebrated 25 years of democracy. And if these are issues that we know are perhaps a clog in the wheel of progress of our democracy, then we need to begin to speak to the issues. So if you're saying de-emphasizing the matter of winner takes all, how do we go about it?
The Constitution first. A review of the Constitution, the constitutional provisions that has to do with our elections must be revisited. The electoral laws must also be revisited. And beyond that, execution.
We've been amending and amending.
Execution, that's it. Beyond all of that, how do we execute some of these things that are provided on paper?
These same laws have to address that.
Yes, but how much have we been... Okay, we've just talked about... I asked a question. I said, those who have defied the laws...
Who have been taken to court.
How many of them have been taken to court? A billboard was destroyed and created a kind of hula balloon in Edo State.
Yes.
And then it got to the heat got to the point that the sitting government said they don't know anything about it. Who controls... those who place advert on the billboards in the state?
It's supposed to be campaigns.
It's supposed to be the state government. And then the sitting government, something happens. It happens, so it wasn't angels. 1 or 2 persons would have seen 1 or 2 persons destroying those posters. We have seen all of that. They say, okay, where you place posters in strategic areas of a particular candidate, you wake up the next morning, they've all been torn off. The ones that cannot be removed, they are painted to deface them. Are you saying nobody saw that? Are you saying sometimes you place poster A here, you come back in the morning, poster B is placed on top of poster A. Okay, who placed poster B on poster A? So what has been done to even the person whose face is on poster B that is sitting on poster A? Are you saying you cannot investigate to get to who was meant to place poster B in that vicinity? If you carry out some investigation, you'll be able to get at the person. First, get to the person whose face is on poster B. And then they will tell you he does not know, and then get to his people. But they eventually will provide those who are meant to paste those posters in those places and then take them to court. Which example have we set? Beyond the paperwork, let us carry out this thing effectively. INEC will tell you it is not within their prerogative to go to court on those matters. But yet they are the ones issuing guidelines. Would the police on their own just go? Won't somebody invite the police to make arrests and do prosecution?
Isn't that where collaboration with sister agencies come in?
Very well. Very well. We need all of that, but the security agencies, but you must get them involved. I don't think any of the security agencies will just want to on their own. It's because a poster is destroyed or because somebody is overspending money. The best police has done so far is go to certain polling booths and then look for those who are distributing money, and then 1 or 2 arrests were made. But how many have gone to jail? The Edo elections that brought in the sitting government or other government, we've had series of allegations of how money exchanged hands, but how many have gone to jail? How many?
Good question.
These are issues. I'm asking these questions because I'm sure INEC is watching. How do we address these matters?
And while we are talking about how INEC will address these matters, you have mentioned the review of some of these laws and INEC themselves ensuring compliance. But let's also talk about the capacity of INEC to handle some of these issues like monitoring, compliance, and also working with sister agency. We also know that it's also possible for some officials, maybe in INEC or some sister agencies, to be used by these political parties. Often.
But we cannot substantiate that because nobody has gone to jail for it.
That's it.
They are mercy. If they happen and nobody has been found guilty or held liable for such offenses, you can really not be able to substantiate that. And so if you cannot substantiate it, then it becomes a hearsay or something and cover even in excess of what they want to do to run an election and deliver. And so if they need ad hoc staff to help them do all of those partial monitoring, they can still hire them and then to be supervised by a substantive staff. Otherwise, it remains just what mercy, like we come here, we discuss it, we go back and nothing happens.
And then come back again.
And then come, did you say come back again to talk about it? Okay.
You want to come
okay, I'll come again. but the truth is, INEC has the capacity to do whatever they want to do because the thing that will drive capacity basically for INEC is funds. With funds, they can hire ad hoc staff, like I said. They can also hire more staff on their own, and then at the end of the day, they can achieve what they want to achieve. But the truth is INEC overwhelmed? Is it that their attention is basically focused on certain areas more than the rest? If so, say these are your limitations, and then let government, it's the government at the center come in.
Do you think INEC is overwhelmed? Because at some points there were talks about, breaking INEC into...
INEC will tell you, INEC themselves for now with what they have, I don't want to completely say they're overwhelmed, but between you and I, we know all of those lacunas that INEC faces every time there's election keep repeating. And when they repeat, well, what does that mean? It means they've not been able to arrest that situation. And if they are not able to arrest that situation,